Okay, so once this is recording, now this becomes telepathic. And I have that behind me because it shows you for the first time on a book cover what you really look like. That's soul, that's Atma, it's spherical. This is important. Just to remember that alone in your whole lifetime will change your world because it's the one thing no one remembers. Buddhists don't know it, Hindus don't know it, gurus in India don't even know about it, what it looks like. So they can't present it. And this was brought to this world from outside this planet through my efforts. So you're going to see it on the front cover of the Emerald Doorway book. Um, it has layers like the spectrum of light. There's a white core, a golden white core. And the center of that is the energy that's from Source itself, like a drop from an ocean of the same omnipresent power. That omnipresent power is space, that whole vast area of outer space that looks dark blue or black in Hubble's telescope images, satellite images of planets and stars, and they have all these colors in these galaxies. They have the colors because they're composites. If naked eyes of human beings can't see all those colors, they're infrared, ultraviolet, and other things they've classified as different types of energy. It's really the same one hue expansion ray power. It's a living power. It is not an individual. And it supports galaxies and things floating in it on many levels. More advanced races from the stars understand that this is a living energy and they respect it. So they're able to utilize energy that is non-nuclear, non-atomic, has no molecules, no atoms. They call it zero-point energy, or in the CERN Super Collider, when they crash particles together, they can see this energy behind all atoms. They don't know what to do with it. They know it's there and it's powerful. So they don't think of space as dark matter anymore. It's not dark, it's just they can't see it. But it is powerful and it's everywhere. So this is what people pray to when they pray into divine spirit, as they call it. You know, they always praying to get something, being protected from this, protect the food they ate or whatever. And I hear it all around me in restaurants all the time. But they don't realize what kind of hypocrites they're being by doing what they're doing. We won't mention what, but they're asking for some being to save them from their abuses to themselves and all life. And this is not the way the source energy actually works. So people get some help, maybe some voluntary help from some master teacher that they don't even know about or what their real name is, and they'll pray to Buddha or some other figure to get saved. But there is no saving in that because we're meant to be trustworthy, conscious co-creators with the source behind all life. That is our true purpose and destiny and reason for existing. It's never changed in hundreds of billions of years. You happen to be in a lifetime right now on a most backward planet of misdirected fellow human beings, going through an experience of recovering what you were made to forget long before you were implanted and killed and put in a body on this planet against your will. Nobody volunteered to come to this world dumber than a board, forgetting everything and call it God's will because they figure they can get it better next time. This is not true. Without those higher faculties, we're going to make too many mistakes. We don't get it better. You got to have all the faculties of the Atma turned on to be a co-creator with the source. I'm mentioning all this for all of your benefit and for you, Vince, as well, okay? I need to bring this up. It bridges things. It creates a bridge of understanding because this is telepathic. And that means that it's a pure form of communication in the omnipresent living power that we're moving through us. The people I work with from off-world, the master teachers, move this through us because it's not another being that channels through me. Trillian doesn't channel through me. Satnam does not channel through me. They don't do that. That's psychic mumbo jumbo on earth, and it doesn't benefit people. They work with us telepathically. I work with them. They don't work through me. And they shouldn't because it's unnecessary. So working with master teachers, they can help you over certain hurdles that say you can't get on your own entirely when you're trying to recover something that's hidden by a subconscious fear that just drives you away from finding the answers. And I will mute your mics now because we get a better recording quality if I do that. You can always turn your mic on if you need to speak. So telepathy, which we all have, is a pure form of communication we've always had. People on Earth have a certain subconscious bunch of terror that keeps them from accessing it. So on Earth, people just, and women just call it intuition. They just sense something like a deja vu or a flash of the future or something. But they don't really know what it is they're doing because it's subconscious. They're not conscious of it. An example would be a simple example of two 20-year-olds, a young man walking across the street, hormonally driven, and across the street, this beautiful girl, about the same age, and he just sees, oh, she's beautiful. And she turns around and looks right at him because she heard it. Not consciously, though. So telepathy is alive and working in people. They just don't realize consciously what they're doing with it on Earth. On other worlds, of course, they do. On other worlds, vast in numbers beyond imagination, beings grow up differently than on Earth, humans included. They don't have subconscious minds. Their governments won't permit it. They don't grow up in fear or any of that. So they're very different as human beings. Most of them are 4-stranded DNA humans, not 2. Just the 2 strands of DNA in the human bodies people have on Earth, if all the genomes were turned on properly, you'd have a photographic memory and you would not age. The choice would be up to you. Replacing organs made from your own DNA, projecting them through a teleportation type of equipment, and replacing a damaged organ without invasive surgery is very ancient medical science. It's not new. It's just not on Earth. Earth people can't be trusted with such things yet because they're corrupt, as we all know, and driven by fear. Most people on Earth, in or out of governments or religions, make decisions every day based on fear. And fear is negative, so the decisions they make are always wrong. Billions, trillions of dollars are spent trying to recover bad mistakes that backfire. And that's what we're in right now. This is changing for the first time through the United States, through the current administration, where honesty and openness and truthfulness is being done, made in common sense without fear. And it's because they're getting help from off-world they don't even know they're getting that's making this possible. Because disclosure has been implemented off-world, and it is coming into this world solar system and into this world, and it is going to bring about full disclosure whether governments agree with it or cooperate with it or not. And they've been told this. So whether or not their fear keeps them from acting properly is not going to prevent disclosure anymore, because without it, people on Earth will destroy themselves. Period. End of story. There is no other option. People are too closed down and unconscious and fear-driven to correct for themselves what they're in now. It has to come from the greater God outside of Earth. So that's underway. And I can say that's underway for the first time on this planet in its entire history. The history goes back more than 65 million years when the big dinosaurs were made extinct. They were an experiment. They did not originate on this planet either. Neither did human beings. Imagine what people will discover when they know for themselves that human beings did not evolve on Earth in the first place. Sure blows a lot of ego trips out of the water, doesn't it? So where did the human beings evolve? And how many are out there in the universe? And how long ago were they brought to Earth? And how did they become so unconscious? Right? Well, there's these implants that get out of the way. That's recent subconscious fear programming implanted in people. That is not implants like little electronic chips under the skin. Implants are in the electromagnetic field of energy that surrounds the spherical Atma, just like it does the Earth. You can look at an electromagnetic field that surrounds Earth and Google it and see how it comes out the South Pole, goes way around the outside of the planet, goes in the North Pole. The same kind of field exists around a galaxy. The same kind of field exists around an individual spherical Atma. The same kind of field exists around the human body. It's a huge field. It comes out the bottom of the spine, goes in the top of the head. It's not a thin to the close to the body colors like psychics. There's your aura. It's much bigger than that. And it's in that field of energy through which we see the universe distorted that implants are placed. It is not an earth-based technology. It's very hard for people to deal with this. They need all the help they can get. This work was developed off-world and brought to this planet. What's in these books I could not have been smart enough to write to save my life. I had to go out in the universe, put it together, and bring it here as an Atma. Because the body, the personality that grew up here didn't have training in a college or university, and there is no such university that trains this, to know how to put stuff together that's in these books. It goes quite beyond the training of an individual in one life on a planet. So, when we go on these journeys, we begin by starting with the first sound behind all creation, the primordial first word. It's missing from religious books on earth because it's not a printed word. It is a sound. There are sounds upon sounds upon sounds up through the dimensions. And each one springs off from a primordial original sound. Sound first, light second. The vibration that surrounds us out in space, outside of Earth's atmosphere, the universal energy sound of the hue in the physical universe sounds like a deep rumbling, almost like thunder, but gentle, and no lightning. And then it has different levels of tones because there are 144 parallel dimensions just in the physical universe before we even get to the astral plane. It's just big. Creation is much bigger than scientists on Earth understand. They do know, particularly quantum physicists and astrophysicists and the like, who work in classified arenas that know about zero-point energy, toroidal energy, the energy of the universe, which is not molecular or not atomic in nature. It supports all things that float in it, even people on planets. But it doesn't necessarily interfere in how they choose to misuse their imagination. It just supports them. This omnipresent power is changing, and it's changing in the higher realities where we're going. And it's changed there first, because if it doesn't change above the void, which most people on Earth don't even know there is anything above the void. But if it doesn't change there first, it cannot change down here. And the reason for that is simple. There are beings in the universe called silent mentors. They are beings who run the mechanics of creation. Quite literally, they are evolved far beyond our understanding. They don't have a personal interest in running or evolving an Atma and teaching them like a guru. They're too busy running the mechanics of the creation on multiple levels and keeping the doorways between dimensions and worlds and suns and galaxies all in place and running. One of the things that the silent mentors did recently, because they too went through a change, like the Say rays did, is they stopped the polar flips of this planet. They were cyclic every 100,000 years, 600 ice ages in 600,000 years. This was caused by an event in our solar system that happened several million years ago. And it imbalanced Mars, ruined it, and started a cycle of polar flips on Earth. So that has been permanently stopped to make way for what we call true disclosure. You won't see an Iron Age to Golden Age again on this planet. That's over for this world. And people on Earth don't yet understand this. They're not going to understand this intellectually or with certainty or with confidence until enough fear in their subconscious has been neutralized. And then other higher faculties turn on and they can understand it. Simple as that. These journeys help us understand by direct experience through the act of being out of body, out in space, and going on the journey. We're plugging into the omnipresent pure hue itself. Hue comes from the first word of the word human, hidden in plain sight on Earth. But it sets up a vibration. It's a round whole tone that opens a doorway through the pineal gland or the pineal gland in the center of the human brain. It creates a link, a conscious link between you, the Atma, outside the body, running it. Human bodies do not run themselves. It requires an energy link, like you're the battery, hook some leads up to your pineal gland, it's really a beam of energy, and you run the body. Without an Atma running a body, human body cannot run. Heart can't work, nothing works. It just dies. It stops. It takes an outside energy source to run a highly developed biomechanical genetic entity like a human body. And these aren't the most evolved human bodies out there. The Say rays, who are human, which we get our DNA from, in fact, the races out in space do as well, billions of years ago, as genetic scientists, developed this and many other body forms, not all human, brought them up to spacefaring capability, and then disappeared in the background for a while to see what we do with it. I think it's pretty obvious what we've done with it. It's pretty pathetic. So they went through a change to begin to work, or return to the galaxy, and begin to oversee the younger races, which they weren't willing to do before. Neither was the Galactic Alliance, for that matter. So things have changed out there. The Savior's Agenda book is more about how it's changed out in the universe permanently, that cannot be reversed, that will lead to the unexpected transformation of the life on this planet. Without that, we'd all be toast. You should know there's been a nuclear war on this planet many millions of years ago. It's not new. Nuclear bombs and radioactive materials, which are man-made, are outlawed outside of Earth. They don't need them. They don't use them. There's no constructive use for that type of energy whatsoever. They use zero-point or toroidal energy, the energy of the universe, to power their ships. They get across the universe far beyond any speed of light because there is no limit to the speed of light. There never has been. Think about it. Human beings on Earth, scientists with eyes in its atmosphere of this planet, not outside, measure light within the atmosphere and say, oh, it's limited to 286,000 miles per second and some change. They don't understand that there is no limit to the speed of light because light they're talking about is not matter, energy, space, and time. It has nothing to do with it. So light coming from other galaxies to Earth does not take billions of years to get here, as they're teaching people wrongly on Earth. It makes people grow up stupid, stilted, suppressed, with an attitude that no one can come to Earth because they're too far away from us. That's Earth stupid, just dumbass thinking. And they can't help it because that's how they saw the speed of light. They didn't measure it. And they're only now finding out that that speed doesn't work like they thought. They also know that there's the Big Bang Theory has been thrown out because they've already seen things far enough in space through Hubble and many other types of astronomical equipment that it just proves that it isn't correct. It didn't happen that way. So they're changing right now, certainly in classified scientific circles, but also in academic circles. They're learning a lot more about this. When full disclosure takes place, real science can be brought to this Earth. People brainwashed in their belief systems on this planet would end all life here. They'd end up fighting each other. They've been doing it anyway. And these are the people that make up the governments that rule over them. Think about it. All of this is not any religious or spiritual or cosmic belief on Earth that's an organized system. Does not exist anywhere else in the universe outside of Earth. Not one of them. That's going to be a big bridge to gap for people that are heavily indoctrinated, because the indoctrination they're suffering from keeps them from knowing anything until they die, and then they think they'll get their answers. This isn't the way it works. It never has been. So with that being shared with all of you, remember when I said this is telepathic, it means that the energy of the source energy is moving through us, through you, imparting this awareness to you so you'll never forget it, because you once knew it well, long ago. What's taking place now in what we call the Hue expansion ray, which is an energy moving from the omnipresent living power from above the void down through the lower worlds of time and space in a new direction. And it only moves in one direction now while it supports everything. As it passes through us and we become boots on the ground, we become more consciously aware of it, it begins to move things through us for our benefit, but it also moves past us for the benefit of others. And this is our natural way of working. In order to have freedom in the multidimensional creation as an Atma, as a being, which has never been a body, We have to be reliable and trustworthy. No fear can be mixed with that if you're going to run a higher frequency of power through us. It has to be co-creative, and it has to be whatever we imagine, whatever we do, needs to be for the uplifting benefit of all life, or it won't work through us anymore. It'll support us, but it won't enlighten us. So when we start crossing paths with the you this way, its way of working with us changes in significant ways, permanent ways. So I will ask all of you, your bodies are in the trance state called sleep, just like you put it in every night, no big deal. The voice that I have been trained to work with in this way and that I am good at doing, and I work with beings not from Earth, masterful teachers. They do not have subconscious minds. They've never been implanted. They were never abducted by greys or caught by reptilians and eaten alive or any of that stuff. Galactic Alliance personnel come from more than 450 million spacefaring world systems in just a little under half of our galaxy alone. They have a world government center on a planet called Zetranami 1 located near the galactic core of this galaxy. People in the UFO and extraterrestrial communities, they don't know this yet. They've got very small, superficial organizations. They've discovered that come here, there are small groups within that organization. So becoming aware of this prepares people to have real contact. We cannot be expected to have contact with beings who are normal humans unless we have enough fear out of the way to be able to respect them. The requirement that Source has with us and we with it is that we must know and respect all life in the grand multidimensional creation to have trustworthy freedom to be co-creators with it. This means we must awaken knowing this life. We cannot do that if all you know is what's on Earth, which is quite a twisted example of life, even nature. The way animals treat each other, some that tear each other apart, do it because the human beings are the dominant species on the planet, and because of what they do, animals do it. This is true. You're not going to get most people to accept responsibility and stop doing what they're doing without getting rid of the subconscious fear that misdirects them now. The two cannot live together. Fear must go in all its forms. There is no other way. Fear was meant to be erased in the end of your billions of years of experience and excursions in the multidimensional creation. All of you have bodies you're running right now, not just this physical on Earth. You have one in the astral plane, made of astral matter, higher molecular time rate matter, different division in the universe, one in the causal, one in the mental, one in the etheric. And then you have the Atma running all of those 5 bodies. You. And if you're waking up to what you are as an Atma on Earth, it means that here on Earth, against all contrast and negative surroundings, you're discovering who and what you are. And this is being transferred back to your so-called higher selves, which don't give a crap about you, generally, living out their selfish lives in each plane. They've long forgotten their true purpose. So these journeys help to recover and awaken those forms you're running to work with each other for the first time. Very significant. We start by sending out the hue, but first understand that there is a Galactic Alliance couple. They're very advanced. They are not from Earth. They have their bodies on the Emerald Star Cruiser, which is stationed in our solar system permanently for now, in the ice rings that make up the rings that surround the planet Saturn. This is there. There are other ships in our solar system patrolling it. They cannot be detected on radar by other craft in the U.S. military or Space Force unless they want to be detected. They're far more evolved than just, say, anti-gravitic propulsion, reverse engineered stuff on Earth. So this couple actually leave their bodies in the trance state called sleep, come out as an Atma, and join us in a circle of beings around Ambassador Torellian. We don't do this inside Earth's negatively impacted atmosphere because all the things ever done by people to animals to each other in the history of this planet is stored in the water vapor, in the atmosphere, and in the oceans because it can store the hue. Earth's oceans are depleted. There's enough in them to keep people alive, but not much more. On normal worlds, waterways glow a foot above the water. On those worlds, people don't have subconscious minds. They aren't forgetful. They know who they are. And that is the majority of life beyond this planet. 70 years of suppressing, classified government, classified military, and all this stuff that was done out of fear at the end of World War II by 35 countries is coming to an end. Not because of what people on Earth are doing about it, because it's being done despite them. And they're starting to try to cooperate with that because they don't have a choice now. You cannot allow younger races to blow themselves up in nuclear holocaust that would affect hundreds of billions of other lives in parallel dimensions that are accessed through interdimensional portals that exist on or under the ocean or in the atmosphere of this planet that people are ignorant of. We on this earth have no right unconsciously to blow ourselves up and harm life much greater than what's on this planet. And the Galactic Alliance is not going to allow us to do that. They've already prevented nuclear war 12 times since the end of World War II. So they're not going to be allowed to use those. It's just a bunch of radioactive material in rusting bomb casings and rusting rockets. So get used to dropping your fear of nuclear war. It isn't what governments say. But then they say things generally, except right now in the United States, before this last few months, no one was telling anybody the truth about anything in any government. This is changing. And no, I don't think the two major prominent people doing this are doing it because they're just such geniuses and they're such good hearts that they just somehow did it. They're getting help beyond their own capability. And so are we. So this couple is standing beside you. Wherever you are, they're hovering near the ceiling. I'll introduce them to you on the journey, especially because Vince is new here. And we need to go through this process again and again in different ways from different angles so that it sinks in. Because the hue that's passing through you now rubs off on you as it passes through you. It changes you permanently. You begin to remember ever so much more that you won't find revealed anywhere else on this planet yet. There will come a time when everybody on Earth knows this. And I can go live in a 3-geodesic dome complex somewhere and not have to do this anymore. See? But it has to be done to spearhead this into the world because the hue has to come through conscious Atmas. And it starts to charge the oceans. When we get 150 million people aboard out of 8 billion, the whole world will be transformed. Literally overnight. So that's what we're working towards. And I'm speaking about the beings I work with who are not from Earth, who you meet on this journey. I'm going to describe them, and it won't hurt any of you to hear this again, because it'll help you to visualize what you should know how to do. What they're doing with you is keeping your subconscious fear, dirt, negativity, implants turned off for the journey so that you can go out in the pure you, go to the higher worlds, bring back this awareness, and as best of your ability, get it centered into the physical consciousness and personality you have on Earth. That is how enlightenment works. You have to go out in the greater God and bring it here. Enlightenment doesn't hit people on the head like a magic wand that some master holds. You have to co-create it, go out and get it, and bring it back. That's what these journeys are for. Chantal and Tonatiel are a couple. They are not human. I mean, they're human, but they're not from Earth. They're about 6 feet tall. They have a blue-gray uniform on, little Galactic Alliance symbol in the right chest area. It's a 4-sided golden pyramid with a quartz top, hovering above the central nucleus of a silvery golden galaxy. Above the point of the apex are 3 cobalt blue stars in triangular formation. So that is a very ancient symbol for a very ancient organization of world spacefaring races. Obviously, these beings know how to leave their bodies from birth before that. And they run spaceships, but they also project to where they're going out of body before the spaceship even gets to the destination. This is something people on Earth don't yet understand. Tahi has long blonde hair and robin's egg blue eyes, slightly larger than Earth human. She has long brunette hair and emerald green eyes, also slightly larger than Earth humans. Those two are standing behind me right now. Their co-workers, Dantium and Lamtium, are about the same height. They all appear to be about 35 to 38 years of age, but they are many, many hundreds of years old. And their bodies don't age like bodies do on Earth, because their science has mastered the genomes on the DNA. Genomes on the DNA, over 1 billion of them mapped out in supercomputers on Earth, are switches. They're activated, turned off and on, or adjusted by precise sound frequencies, source sound frequencies. And that knowledge is not awake in people on Earth. But in their common science and medical expertise out among the stars, it is. So Earth people aren't even living normally as human beings at all. And this must change. Dantium has golden colored eyes, not brown, and brown hair. Lamtium, his significant other, has ruby red eyes and yellow red hair. Down to their shoulders. Each one of you has another couple behind you. Vince, today, Dantium and Lamtium are behind you. They're not interfering in your mind or invading your privacy. They're just keeping your subconscious energy field, the programs and the energy that surrounds you as an Atma and your body, what you call the aura, they're keeping that turned off for the journey. That way you can bring back more awareness, more energy, more courage, and take more steps forward. This is how this works. When you are out of your body, all you do is use the same way you visualize going to the store. It's important to know, wake up and recover, that you do not imagine anything from your brain. The brain's purpose has no function in it for imagination. This is just theory on Earth. They don't even know where it comes from or how it works. In fact, they even know very little about the brain at all. But it's not designed to imagine. There's no movie projector projecting images on a movie screen from one brain cells to the other. No. The being doing the imagining unconsciously on Earth is the Atma running the body, which has never been a body, ever. It's spherical. It's source energy. It isn't destructive. It's not made of molecules. It doesn't live and die and grow old. None of us have ever been a body, human or otherwise, but we've run billions of them. It's important to know this. You're never going to wake up to anything that matters in your entire lifetime. So they're hovering near the ceiling. All you're doing is imagining, just like you would imagine going to the store. And your body follows where you guide it, gets in the car, turns on the key, goes to the store. This is how it works. People are not taught to look and imagine outside of Earth, except in science fiction and writing, which they all think is fantasy. It's not. When they see something they write about, like in books and films, they're seeing it somewhere in another reality, either good or bad or darker or lighter than where we are on Earth. And they're like scribes writing it down. This is how my work works, except there's no negative nature in my work whatsoever. None. It did not originate on a planet where there's good and bad and evil and good and people imagining in two ways, trapping themselves on Earth by imagining opposing forces. Fear of the present and future, that's integrated into people all over the world. Love for themselves and their family, good wealth and happiness and health. These are opposing forces. And when people imagine this way, they send out energy from the hue passing through them and creates both realities around them. And of course, that grounds the energy into the Earth and they get trapped here. They can't get out. more than that, they have subconscious things going on in them they don't know they have that keeps them grounded here. This is not right. So we're going to begin by doing 5 hues. We're going to do them in successively higher tones. Join me. You don't have to do it out loud. Just match it in your imagination. And remember, your imagination is not made up in your head. You actually see and hear as the Atma, where we go and what we do on these journeys. It is not the brain and personality of your body that's doing this. That's asleep. It's running automatic. You can be any distance in the multiverse away from a body and run it at any distance because you're running it through the hue, which is not limited by time, space, and matter, connected directly to the pineal gland, the center of your brain. This is how it's done. You're all good at doing it. People on Earth don't even know they're doing it or how they're doing it. It's unconscious. So we want to wake that up. I will begin these hues. Go with me on them. And what it will do is open a doorway in the pineal gland between you, the Atma, hovering above your body right now, and the personality, which is in the trance state called sleep, the genetic entity part of you, the machine. It's a biological entity. It's highly evolved. The Say race had everything to do with developing human life and other forms out in space, not human, until they became spacefaring capable. And now they have returned, along with silent mentors who don't have an active part in training or mentoring anyone, except in the higher worlds above the void where we can rub shoulders with them. We'll go do some of that on this journey. If I can get you back across the void, in the void, you cannot bring any negative nature with you. It is not the realm of the Supreme Being like Buddhists think and some other organizations, because it's nothing there but energy or light and sound. They think there's nothing there, must be God. That's just a barrier between the lower worlds of time and space and the upper dimensions, the upper realities, where no negative nature whatsoever exists and never has. We all originate from above the void. So when we go back to that, it's just flowing around us and through us, and we're bringing that back to our life on Earth. And that changes consciousness. It does do that. But you'll find that out through your own direct experience anyway. That's what these journeys are about. So I'll begin those hues now. Do them with me. Remember, this sound comes from in verbal language, the first half of the word human, hidden in plain sight. The word human did not originate on Earth either. Get used to it. You once knew it, you might as well wake it up. The hue is not something that can be patented or copyrighted or owned by anybody on Earth or off-world. It does not originate from any being in the lower worlds, and it doesn't come from the lower worlds originally. Can't possess it or copyright it or make money on it. That's a big mistake, because it will correct that misthinking in sometimes the most harsh ways. So, respecting the one power behind life is natural to us. It is normal. In order to do this, people mouth divine spirit this and divine love that all day long. They haven't got a clue what they're doing consciously. It is a living, conscious energy. It surrounds all things made of matter, energy, space, and time. But it is not those things. It is not part of those things. It supports those things, good or bad or in between. in an unbiased manner. We are that energy. At the core of the spherical being we are, made of exactly, identically the same energy as Source itself. When we know that, we're well on our way to recovering mastery. Mastery really means the ability to know who you are as a being, not the body, and how to co-create properly with the source behind all life. That's it. Couldn't be simpler. Fear in any form vastly complicates and gets in the way of being able to run higher faculties of awareness, enlightenment, and to manifest yourself in a life or a world that doesn't have the problems of Earth. It requires that you be much more awake than you are now. So we're getting there. If a couple landed on a ship and walked out, I mean human, beautiful, lovely, thin, trim, and they came up to you, you'd run in terror the other way. Not meaning to, but subconscious things would get your feet moving and run away, because those programs are designed to keep you from ever remembering who you are. Duh. And as you go on these journeys, you've already demonstrated you have the courage awakened to override those programs, at least enough to do this. Because the Atma has always had built-in mastery over all the lower worlds of time and space, good and bad, good and evil, that whole bit. Those are just two forms of one energy split into two particles that should be harmonized together, like the yin and yang symbol, circling around each other, with another energy moving through it to manifest things without karma, without reincarnation, without cause and effect. We're supposed to operate that way, but only the Atma can do that, not the body. So this couple, you imagine yourself near the ceiling looking down on your body in the trance state called sleep. It's very easy. It's easy as imagining going to the store, no difference. And you find you are a spherical being, and there is a spherical being hovering to each side of you near the ceiling. And they are showing you perfectly adorable male and female body forms, about 36, flawlessly handsome, flawlessly beautiful. These are prototype human forms we brought from the upper worlds down here. And Satnam had a lot to do with that back then. But you're also projecting the same type of 36-year-old body. If you're a male, it's perfectly handsome. If you're a female, perfectly beautiful. These are not molecular bodies. They're not made of DNA. They're not made of matter. They're a projection of the pure core of your being. That's how we show ourselves to each other. So you're up there hovering near the ceiling, and this couple is simply keeping all subconscious traumas turned off for now. There's a golden white light, like pastel light, coming down into the roof where you live, passing through you and this couple, through your body. It's going out through the walls of your home. It's continuing out into Earth's atmosphere, into the water on the planet, and to 3 pyramids stationed in special locations on the Earth that are turned on and running right now. They are not from Earth, and they are not made of matter. There's an even larger one stationed between 2 stable asteroids in the asteroid field that circles in the orbit of what was a planet between Mars and Jupiter in our solar system. Classified scientists know it's there. They can't do anything with it. Weapons don't even, they disappear. If you shoot them, nothing happens. They know they're on the bottom of Earth's oceans, but they're on and running, and they can't do anything about it. Affect them, change them, anything, nothing. They aren't, we don't have the right on Earth to mess with them, because silent mentors, the mechanics that run the creation, run those things, just like they are guardians of interdimensional doorways between the different dimensions. They hold it all in place. You cannot mess with one of them. Quite impossible. They will just ignore you. They're too busy to even play with that stuff. So, you're going to see a flash of light, brighter, come into your ceiling. And then you find yourself in the atmosphere at 10,000 meters or 10,000 feet, hovering, looking down where you live. as an Atma now. You're not a physical being. That body's asleep. And this couple is beside you. There's a flash of light, and we find ourselves in space in a circle of beings. And there are many of us here. Ambassador Turelian is a human, 18-foot tall body form he's showing you. One of the shorter ones. The Sayres were 18 to 25 feet tall. They helped evolve races and beings and grays and tall whites and Nordics and reptilians, which were all vegetarian and not bad at all back then, and human, humanoid, and many races to develop these higher genetic bodies. We have Sayres DNA in us. So do the Galactic Alliance personnel. So do the tall whites. So do the grays. So do the reptilians and Pashats, which are lion-like people. These were developed by the Sayres and other very advanced groups billions of years ago, so that Atmas could run a higher nervous system body made of molecules of the matter in the plane they want to play in, so they could get real experience. So they are devices to have sense, taste, sight, touch, smell, and all that for all these different levels. That's why we have an astral, causal, mental, and etheric body for all these different dimensions. Astral, all emotion comes from the astral plane. All of it. You have a body you're running there. It's transferred to you here. Causation, cause and effect, and learning the science of creation is picked up in the mental plane. Thought, instantaneous transmission and manifestation on the mental plane. Etheric is more of a body that's transparent, mostly pure energy. Looks human, but you can see through it. And it's designed to bridge the gap between the etheric plane through the void, which is pure hue energy, and up into the upper realities. This is what we're supposed to be doing, running those bodies. Making you aware of this now will help it wake up within you, as if at some point, like you always knew it, because you did. So we're in space, and Turelian is simply showing you a body form he had over 1 billion years ago when the Sayres, the entire Sayres race, immortalized their bodies in a unique way. They just dematerialized how do I say it? They disassembled the genetic bonding code, 12-stranded, by the way, not 2, and then stored it in one of the teardrops near the white core of their being, in the yellow layer. When they want to manifest a body to show us it, you could walk up and touch it if you ever walked on Earth. They mock it up out of the omnipresent living power, and they just fill the DNA, and it's just there. We do the same thing unconsciously. When fear is shut off, you simply remember how to show this form of yourself to each of us. The sound out here in space, you can see the Earth in the background with its polar ice caps. Anybody's seen that in Hubble's telescope satellite images. The barren moons, pockmarked with meteor craters, orbits the planet without turning at all on its axis, which is entirely wrong. And the sun in the distance. But the energy around all these forms, including us, is a white golden light. To human eyes on Earth, it appears black or dark, but it isn't. The Atma can see it for what it is. It has a sound roaming around us that sounds like deep humming or slightly, almost like slight calm thunder with no lightning. The sound of the physical universe the hue makes. You go to the astral plane, it's like the sound of a beautiful wave with blue-green light beamed through its waves from the sun, crashing gently on a beach. That sound comes from the astral plane, and so forth. Higher molecular time rates and lower worlds have different universal sounds for each plane. So we learn this. Beings who roam and craft around the multiverse in, say, the physical universe craft of the Galactic Alliance travel between 144 parallel dimensions with worlds in each of them. They know how to do this. So the Galactic Alliance is called the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds, not the Milky Way Galactic Alliance of Free Worlds. It's much more bigger than that. But they can't take their craft into the astral plane. There's a barrier between the astral and physical plane, like the void is between the lower and upper worlds. It was built this way in the beginning. We were there up above this when it was built. So how old are you? You're older than the suns and the stars and the planets. It's going to be quite a shock for people, but that's part of disclosure too. So in space, I'm a little further out towards away from Turellian, and Marshall's just to my left. Vince, you're to my right. Margaret's a little further around the circle. Susan's further around the circle. And in between us are master teachers. One is called Ramu. He's near Earth. He has a maroon colored robe, short crop, curly black hair and beard, swarthy skin, dark brown eyes. Simple rope for a belt and sandals. He's holding a quartz staff about 6 feet tall. Has a symbol of, like in ancient Egypt, for eternal life. A cross with an oval hole, upward hole. And it's a device. It's a teaching tool. It's his trademark. He is stationed on Earth, but not in the Himalayas you're aware of. They're in a third higher parallel dimension. In the Himalayas there. Opelum is from planet Oceania. He's to my right. Actually to right of Vincent. And he's got pale blue skin, about 6 feet tall, long jet black hair to his shoulders, emerald green eyes. Looks to be about 40. The body form he's showing you here on Oceania is over 500,000 years old, unaged. Ramu's body is ancient as well. They've immortalized their physical genetics so that the genomes that deal with longevity and aging are turned on, so they do not age. It's as simple as that, just higher science. Up above Turellians, you're going to describe Turellian because I need to do this. 6, he's like 18 feet tall, long, slightly wavy blonde hair to his shoulders, big, beautiful blue eyes, slightly bigger than Earth humans, slightly pointed ears like an elf, white gown on, bare feet, 2 thumbs up. There's a foot thick white golden light around his thumbs he's manifesting. It's brighter than the hue in space around us. And it's creating an oval, transparent field of energy around us like the hull of a spaceship. Ambassador Turellian is from the Sayres. He's an ambassador to the Galactic Alliance, not Earth. Above him is hovering a bigger Atma than we are, spherical, beautiful. This is the real Turellian. The form he's showing you is a mock-up, a projection. But you're also got the same thing hovering above you, running a body form not made of matter, that looks human, well-dressed. You look at Opelum, he's got this blue-gray uniform on, Galactic Alliance symbol on the chest area. He opens up his hands, you see little webs between his fingers, lifts his neck, 3 little slits at the back of his neck. Otherwise you wouldn't even know, but this human race evolved long ago with the ability to breathe underwater or on land. Oceania is mostly a water-covered world. We may come there or go there on our return visit from where we're headed, just to make a triangle of experience from Earth, the upper worlds, back to Oceania, which is on the other side of the galaxy, in the third higher parallel dimension, and back to Earth. Up above Turellian are 2 master teachers named Etta and Din. They are revealed in the Emerald Doorway book. Illustrations are in that book. They're drens about 3 feet long from the tip of their snouts to their adorable tails, which glow like crystal opal in bright sunlight. They're silica-based DNA, not carbon. They have a symbiotic relationship with the Oceanians on Oceania, and they evolved in huge, emptied-out volcanic chambers at the bottom of the Oceanian Ocean. Natural ecosystems, luminous like bright daylight. There's elements in their soil, in the walls, and the crystals that radiate light. It's a long story, but we can visit them. They're master teachers. I first met them over 100,000 Earth years ago. And you read about that in the Emerald Doorway from my life there. Now they're master teachers. Above them is Light C. He's a little 5-foot tall Chinese guy, 5'3" or something. Little maroon robe with little esoteric symbols on it. Little 4-inch thick little cap or hat. Little Fu Manchu type beard. Looks ageless. Can't tell how old he is. He just looks ageless. And he's a master teacher. He has a body in the etheric plane, no lower bodies, and works above the void in a particular pyramid in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. There are other master teachers, male and female in couples, some single, standing in the circle between all of you. They're going to serve for a while as teachers in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. Now we're going to send out the hue. I am. Do it with me. Look up above Etta and Din. You'll see even my cat Starlight with his glowing tail. He lived a couple years ago and left, and I took him to the Atma plane where Satnam is, above the void. And he's been learning how to levitate and fly around. Etta and Din are training him. He doesn't have to show a cat form, but he does that out of respect and love for me. We were good brothers. And up above them is Satnam. He is the being, the Purusha, or the governor, you might say, of the Atma plane, the first realm above the void in the upper realities, where no negative nature exists whatsoever. And he's here and has been coming down, serving as adding his wisdom into these journeys. So he'll escort us up through this portal. You look above his head, and there's a hourglass-shaped, clockwise whirling golden vortex, golden white light. It's emanating the sound of a high note of a flute. And it goes way upward, and up at the other end of it, you can see a luminous pale blue atmosphere. And that is the void, and that is up above the lower worlds of time and space, above the etheric plane. This is why we need these beings to keep all fear turned off with our sleeping bodies, because we cannot take any negative nature with us there whatsoever. You cannot leave the etheric plane and go into the void or in the upper realities carrying any negative nature. Now that vortex that's whirling clockwise has a blue-green luminous energy revolving around it. Looks like water, revolving around the outside of the inside, which is revolving clockwise. This creates a doorway, a portal, an interdimensional channel between the physical space outside of Earth and all the way to Source itself. It goes through the void to the Atma plane, Satnam's realm, to the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, built in a special parallel dimension between the top of the 5th realm and the 6th. And it goes up many dimensions to a place called Agam Purusha's realm, a being that handles all the raw power of eternity, like a generator. And then it goes into the source or prime creator itself. That's already been created. And we're going to send out the hue, because you're going to help co-create brightening it up before we go up through it on this journey. I'll begin those tones now. Do them with me. Watch this vortex light up brighter. You are contributing to this. If you didn't hear all of those, I had the original sound from musicians turned off, turned it on in the higher tones, so at least you'll hear the most important part. In space, you look at this vortex above us and it's quite bright now. We have a oval energy field around us, which Turelian's creating. I'm standing beside him. He's got his thumbs up with his fist closed. I'm doing the same thing right beside him. It's co-creativity. And Satnam begins to go upward, moving his hand up, encouraging us to go with him. You can see two couples hovering beside him now. These are silent mentors who have come down just for this purpose, to go with us on this journey. What do they look like? About 6 feet tall, different colored single gown on each one, alternating male and female. Male, female, male, female, right and left side of Turelian. Above them is hovering an Atma. It's as big as Satnam's, it's 4 times bigger than ours. Twice as many teardrops in it, fire faculties. These are mechanics of creation. We don't mix it up with them here in the lower worlds. We have to go above the void to do that. So they are receding up into this vortex, and we're moving up right into it. There's a flash of light, and we're shot upward, up into the middle of this narrow channel in the center. And you can see through the transparent walls of this energy whirling around us. Levels upon levels of brighter and brighter galaxies, bigger worlds, all the way up to the etheric plane. And then we're suddenly shot through this vortex to the other side, and we find ourselves hovering as a group, surrounded by a brilliant, what I call pale blue light everywhere. There's no thing here, no buildings, no structures. It is the pure hue. And it is a barrier between the top of the etheric and those realities above the void. And we're moving upward at tremendous speed. You look down and you can see this vortex all the way down to where we are, still circling Turelian by Earth in space, vanish. We hear a high note of a flute taking us farther upward until we begin to see a white beach appear, diamond-like, glowing. Stretches as far as you can see from the left and the right, curves way out in the distance of this pale blue luminous light. We are coming to the upper edge of the void, approaching this diamond-like luminous beach, little round polished diamond-like spheres that light it up. And we're approaching this beach, and landing our bare feet on this sand. Remember, you're an Atma running this pure body form you're projecting. You're wiggling your bare toes in this sand. Satnam is standing on the sand with us. Turlian's up to his knees in this blue, pale blue light, like he's standing in the ocean. Remember, he's a big Atma hovering above the 18-foot tall body form he's showing us. His two thumbs are up. White golden light surrounds him still. I'm next to Satnam. Mine are still up. This sand, these particles, you reach down and lift up the handful of the sand. You realize they're little round, perfectly polished diamonds, radiating a light around them. One of those little grains lifts itself up out of your hand, goes right into the white core of your being above this body form, and makes it brighter in the center of your being, charging it. It's a gift from Satnam. You see the jungle trees behind us are like fruit trees and palm trees and weeping willows and everything you can think of, but they're all transparent. Everything's glowing here. Everything here produces its own light. Fruit trees, banana trees, they're all luminous. We hover above these trees as a group, and these birds come out of these trees. They are greeters. They have long V-shaped split tails, about a foot long, like a blue jay, kind of. Big blue bulbous eyes. Twin sets of bird wings, one above the other. They're like a hummingbird, but a bird, hovering in space above the trees like a hummingbird. And they are singing. They have vocal cords. There's a beautiful Atma hovering above them, about the size of a silent mentor. And they are singing the hue on multiple levels with perfect vocal cords. And then you realize as the energy they're singing passes through them to us, they are maintaining the power and the presence of the void that holds together this place between the upper and lower realities. That's what they do. And they fly back down in the trees. They've just greeted us. Turlian flies over the top of the jungle trees, and we all just move as a group around Turlian, following him. The two silent mentor couples are beside him. And we're going to make this simple. When you look out into the distance of the Satnam realm, the Atma plane, you can see vast fields of blue and green and violet, every colored grass. Millions of acres. There are animals of types you've never seen before grazing. Birds flying you've never seen before, hovering in the air. And there are beings, Atmas, human and others, standing beside them or on the ground. And you watch the Atmas they are switch places. Because in Satnam's realm, this is how we learn how to respect all life. And they begin to experience running that other body form that these same Atmas have running down in the lower worlds of time and space. They get to experience what it is to be an eagle flying in the air, or a cow, or a six-legged animal, or an eight-legged animal, something that doesn't exist on Earth. And they realize that there are Atmas hovering above all of them and begin to respect all life this way. It's a shortcut. You go to Satnam's realm and you learn how to actually respect all life that's out there so that you can be free in the co-creative purpose. And into the distance you can see oceans. And out in the oceans, in the Atma plane, there are whole curved sections which are one radiant color like gold. The one next to it might be violet. The one next to that might be blue. It circles this floating landmass, and each one has these vast land areas going up to this colored light of an ocean. And each one has a specific function. It's a vast place to explore. But we're going to stop and look down, and you can see that there is a fountain about 15 feet in diameter made of a kind of a scalloped edged white stone. It has a white marble sitting seat surrounding it. A statue of Satnam is standing it with two gold bracelets on his upper arms. Bare-chested, strongly built, about 36. Brown skin, gold eyes, not yellow. Bald. Wearing a no top, little tunic dress from his waist down to his bare ankles, and he's pointing to this statue. It's a device. It is an interdimensional doorway. There's a white gold shaft of light coming down into the statue. Its hands, palms out, are at its sides facing downward. and the light's pouring down through this statue, filling this bowl. It's dropping over the edge in a glistening, radiant, golden white sheet and disappearing in the ground. It's one of the places in the Atma plane that supports the void that runs the lower worlds. In the distance, you can see a diagonal, white, snow-covered bluestone mountain range and a brown, moss-covered path leading from a 100-foot in diameter white stone floor this fountain is sitting in. These botanical gardens are in 7 concentric circles, 4-foot-high flowering plants that go back into the distance. This path leads up to 2 big pillars like lapis lazuli, blue stone glazed with gold, and they're holding up a 4-sided pyramid roof. There's transparent buildings along the base of this mountain range. In the middle of it, up a set of foot-thick golden luminous steps, is a single throne chair. Now, it would be called Satnam's throne chair, but he doesn't sit in it. He's not some kind of tyrant ruler. It is a device. It's like polished blue quartz, transparent with smooth edges. There's a white golden shaft of light coming down into it from higher realities. Behind the chair, out a triangular opening, is a bigger fountain, much bigger, blue stone scalloped edges. Has a Christmas tree shaped light moving up and down in it, blue-green with a golden light in the middle of it and a shaft of white golden light coming down into it. This is one of the power centers that runs through this tree in Satnam's realm to go down to the void and power the lower dimensions through interdimensional doorways. They were set up that way in the beginning. Silent mentors run them. So we're going to go up the shaft of light just above the statue of Satnam, because we have another destination we want to get to. And as we do this, as this oval golden light around us, like the hull of a spaceship, moves us up, Terrellian in the center, and Satnam is staying behind. And we suddenly shoot up this shaft of light, and we see up above, it is going through an open, whirling, interdimensional doorway shaped like a donut. Tiny little blue, cobalt blue stars are whirling around the opening. And on the other side, in the distance, we can see a huge floating circular landmass. That is built in a special parallel dimension between the top of Satnam's realm and the 6th realm. Between the two. There are many dimensions above that that go to Agam Purusha's realm, and then we get permission from him to go to the source itself. And there are several realities above that. So we're suddenly shot up through this opening and find ourselves with this opening closing below us. And we see in the distance this brilliant cobalt blue light everywhere, the golden energy laced behind it. It's surrounding this huge floating singular landmass in the middle of it. There are no stars, no suns, no moons here, no planets. They are unnecessary because everything, including you, produce your own light. Everything here radiates light. We're moving at tremendous speed towards the coast of this huge continent-sized landmass. And this is a brighter diamond-like beach that surrounds its outer circumference. You can see a blue-green luminous wave constantly crashing on the beach, revolving around the outer circumference of this Hue Expansion Ray Academy. This was built here 10, maybe 11 years ago, and it's been expanding ever since. It did not exist in the upper worlds before. It is there as a place to train people to become something more than they were. They become prototype beings, a mix between silent mentors, which have absolute freedom and unlimited abilities, and that of, say, a master teacher. We get in the middle between the two as energy moves between them and us. So you find your feet wiggling in these diamond sands. It's bigger by far than the sands around the Atma plane below us. The sound is more refined. It's drawing us like violins and flutes. It's drawing us upward. You're looking at this sand, and a little particle lifts up and goes right into the white core of your being. Above the body form you have wiggling its toes in the sand and makes it brighter. Now, this gift is to help you remember your lives above the void, where you originated, even existed before you ever started playing with bodies in the lower planes of time and space. And we're up hovering around Tyrrellian, moving towards the central nucleus of 6 snow-covered mountain peaks that circle in the very center of this landmass. And there's a blue glass administration tower coming up out of a 100-foot wide stone island. There's a blue-green luminous lake surrounding the inside of these 6 mountains that are in a circle. It comes up about 2/3 to a flattened spherical administration area. Has a fountain in it, no statue of Satnam. And then it goes to a minaret point. There's a shaft of white golden light, brighter hue, coming down into this from source itself. At the base of these mountains, we're up above it, you can look down and see there are horseshoe-shaped golden tunnels cut into the base of these mountains that circle the entire circumference of the base of these mountains. White stone roadways come out of each one that goes straight as an arrow all the way to the coast, like spokes of a bicycle tire, surrounding the central administration tower. There is no negative nature here. You can't bring negative nature here. But you can remember and absorb energy without negative nature and bring that back to Earth. That's why we're here. So you look at this fountain below us with the 7 concentric circles of botanical paradise, and we're shot all the way up. And we stop to look down on the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, and you can see that there are massive jungles, massive lakes, massive energy centers like this administration tower, all the way around all 4 quadrants of this Hue Expansion Ray Academy. It's a teaching academy. Master teachers, people on Earth don't know about, come here to teach. So when you're out of your body at night, you can go meet with them. They don't teach on a blackboard or a computer. The energy of the Hue moves through them to teach you by direct experience. It moves through you too. We're moving down to the southwestern quadrant. There's a roadway coming down the middle third of it from one of the base of the mountains. It turns to the right into a clearing before it gets to the beach, about 2/3 of the way. And we're suddenly hovering over that clearing. And what we see in the clearing are these 12, they look like giant redwood trees, and this changes according to the need for the teaching. And above them is standing one of these silent mentors, alternating male to female, each with a different colored gown on. Long hair to their shoulders, look human, different colored skin. There's no facial features. The form they show us you can't see a facial feature. It's a bright golden light. When you look into the face of these beings, you see levels upon levels of galaxies. That's how they think. There's a huge Atma hovering above them, 4 times larger than us, twice as many teardrop shapes than we have. And they're standing in a circle above these trees, and in the center is a shaft of white golden light. Tyrrellian's standing in the middle of it, and I'm in it with him. Down near the floor is a blue crystalline sphere with a radiant blue cobalt star in the middle, hovering about a foot above this circular white stone floor. And hovering in the middle of this beam, above this sphere, is a clear quartz headset, polished smooth. It fits around from the front around your cranium. And this is on the pure energy form. That device fits over your temples. You'll find it separates itself, places itself over the temples of the body form you have. And when it turns on, you begin to see or remember what source looks like from here. This device is also connected to one in a museum in the etheric plane where I work, below the void. We'll get into that another time. Its purpose, when worn, is to connect you directly to Source. The silent mentors are involved in this process. You'll notice that the energy coming out of Terrellian and myself from this shaft of light that comes from Source is moving right through us. We're in a circle of beings between the shaft of light and the silent mentors. The energy is moving down through the big spheres they are, down through their forms and coming through us. It's going both ways, passing right through us. The sound coming through it is like an orchestra you can't even imagine on Earth. And suddenly we find ourselves projected upward at tremendous speed, plane after plane, until we come out into a realm far many dimensions above here, which is like orange and yellow and red and blue and violet fire moving everywhere all the time. And there's this massive spherical being approaching us. We're in a group around Terrellian, but here we have no physical forms we project, just the Atma. And this being is named Agam Purusha, and he is the being who regulates the raw power of eternity from higher realities and generates it down through the planes to support everything. You could call him a super silent mentor. He's not designated as one, but he has a position here, way up high. In the background, in this fiery realm, which doesn't harm us, this Agam Purusha approaches us, and we can hear him telepathically with a deep, melodious voice welcome us here. When I first met this being, I befriended him because he didn't have anybody else. Most people were scared of him. I mean, just this massive being. I would recommend that you ask to be friends with him. Very important while you're here, if you want to. In the background is a huge silver golden tree, tallest fir tree you've ever seen. Perfect branches, perfect needles, big giant roots disappearing down into this energy of what would be a floor. The top of it is beyond the range of sight. And we're being given permission to go into the trunk of that tree, which is transparent. And white golden light of the hue is moving up and down it. We find ourselves suddenly shot as a group around Terrellian into the middle of that shaft and sent upward. In the next instant, we're coming out into an even larger realm of a more brightly lit cobalt blue light. In the center of it, in this vast void of light, is one single, what appears to be a silver golden revolving galaxy. It looks like billions of stars are revolving around the center. It has a bulky center like a galaxy below, but there's a hollowed out interior. And we are moving suddenly between these very large beings, which we thought were stars, are individual beings. There's lots of space between them. We're all moving between them. And we suddenly find ourselves passing into the central third, which is a void, coming to a white, luminous island right in the center of it. Hovering above it is a huge spherical being, which we call Source or Prime Creator. It is not an individual. It is a presence of all Atmas running all forms and all of the creation that originated here in a nexus. It creates a form of a being in a sense that you can talk with, that has really connection and access to all the genius of all the worlds and all the beings there are. And we find ourselves moving between the first outer layer of teardrops. There's big space between them. Our whole group passes through them easily. We pass all the way through the layers of color, thousands of layers, until we come out into the white core of the center of this source. And we realize that the white core of our being is identical with this source. We're just small drops of the same thing on a smaller scale than what it is. And we hear this deep baritone voice welcome us home, mixed with this angelic feminine characteristic. And it welcomes us home. Now, we don't stay here. We can't stay here long or we'd lose our physical bodies on Earth. It's too far removed from the lower planes of time and space. So we visit. Send gratitude into the center. You don't worship it. It's never asked us to do that. We respect it. We experience it. And we begin to respect all life, which what divine love really is. But you can't really have divine love if you don't know all the life to respect it. People on Earth do not know this. There's a flash of light, and we find ourselves now hovering above a mostly water-covered jewel of a planet. All the way down in the physical Milky Way galaxy, on the other side of the galaxy, in the third higher parallel dimension, higher molecular time rate. And there are a few islands near the equator. The ocean is glowing with a blue light, radiating a foot above the ocean waves, which are calm the entire planet. No polar ice caps. There are 3 moons the size of Earth, also with life on them. No polar ice caps. In the distance, you can see what's called a trinary sun system. And this world and its 3 moons are orbiting the trinary sun system. Big, young, hot, blue, giant, bigger sun than ours, a little smaller. Another one out further out. These suns revolve around each other, and then these planets revolve around them. These more advanced worlds do not have polar ice caps. They don't have earthquakes or tornadoes or violent oceans or anything else. Their waters are charged with the U, as they should be. And you can see now Opellum, with the blue skin, jet black hair, moving us down through the atmosphere of this planet until we pass through its pastel pink and blue luminous water vapor, until we're hovering over this brightly lit sunny day out in the ocean near the equator, approaching a big island with a golden sandy luminous beach. We're approaching it. In the distance you can see these clear domes covering small cities. 3 big 4-sided golden pyramids with quartz caps surround a long ivory colored dome building, kind of a long oval. And then there's little dome homes, little walkways, a circular kind of blue-green lake, half semicircular mountain range in the background with little waterfalls of blue-green water pouring out of caverns filling the lake. This is one of the cities, and there are a number in triangular patterns out through the island. You can see coming out of the ocean a circular luminous blue tube that goes down into the depths of the ocean. An oceanic transport car stops for us to see it. It comes from a blur and stops. You can see double-ended quartz-like crystal car with a canopy, and there are a dozen male and female oceanians with these pointed ears and blue skin waving at us. They see us. And then the car blurs in light down the tube. We follow it. We find ourselves 2 miles down at the bottom of Oceanic Ocean. We see domes on the floor, and off in the distance more domes at these circular transport tubes connect. To the left is a volcanic chute, very large, has a kind of a curved dome, a round shape. It goes up the side of this mountain, which becomes that island. And in the side wall of it is an outward curved, convex, clear dome. And Atma and Din are inside it. These are where their bodies are, waving their thumb and 5 fingers at us like a human, but they aren't human. That's their home. They have a view outside in the ocean, and they have a view inside their community. We find ourselves suddenly inside this huge chamber, a volcanic chamber that had all the lava dumped out of it millions upon millions, hundreds of millions of years ago. And we are walking down a moss-covered path. There's an oval blue-green lake luminous to our right, and everything is flowers and plants glowing everywhere. The dirt itself has a phosphorescent mineral in it. The water itself is charged with a U. So in this ecosystem, carbon dioxide is taken in by the plants, oxygen is provided. This is where we are. We're right near the central Dren city of On. Drens developed here. Oceanians first found them a long time ago when they visited this underground chamber. They evolved with the ability as silica-based creatures, and many crystals in this environment, to defy gravity and fly through the air, within atmospheres, that is. So you'll see Atma and Din hovering in front of us. You can see a courtyard, a circular courtyard, and these convexly shaped clear domes covering the walls of this cavern. And up at the back, a waterfall comes out of an opening, pours down tiers of waterfalls and empties into this oval lake. And there are many other Drens hovering around us. So we get to visit, respectfully, their home world. It's in the physical universe of the Milky Way galaxy. When I say third higher parallel dimension, it means it's at a third higher molecular time rate within physical matter of the physical universe. And we find ourselves hovering above Earth, surrounding Turelian, out in space where we started this journey. Turelian's still got his two thumbs up. The couple is still standing beside you. And then you find yourself looking down on your body near the ceiling where you live. The couple's still standing beside you. The energy of the golden white light we're bringing back with us from this journey is coming down through your sleeping body, out the field, the aura around it, out through the walls. It's passing through us for our benefit and continues out into Earth's atmosphere. It connects with three pyramids. Two are at the bottom of Earth's deepest oceans. These are four-sided golden pyramids with quartz caps. They have a statue of Satnam in the middle of them. They are not made of physical matter, and they are devices. There's one in the Atlantic, one in the Pacific, and there's one in a hollowed-out interior of a mountain in the Himalayas. The energy is going to those pyramids, into those fountains, pulsing out the four sides of the walls, going through the atmosphere of Earth, and connecting to a much larger pyramid stationed between two stable asteroids in the middle of the asteroid field that circles at high speed, that was a planet, around the sun between Mars and Jupiter. The energy is beamed from there to larger pyramids now stationed between individual stars, and then into the central white golden core, what people used to call the dark hole or black hole, and goes up that shaft and goes back to source where we just came from, and it moves in one direction constantly through us. And then the couples hovering beside you near the ceiling vanish. You can see all the way back to the Emerald Star mile-long cylindrical ship, a lounge area. Blue oval glass top tables, white egg-shaped chairs with cushions, and you see these Shantiel and Tonalty and Domtiel and Lantiam, among others, waking up, and the bodies, that when they do that, the bodies disappear from around us, these projections. And they get up and wave back at you. They are personnel aboard that ship. And we're back. So when you're ready, open your eyes. The kind of experience like this is direct experience. Doesn't matter how real it seems to you or unreal, it will change you. You'll just become smarter. Your IQ will go up more, and you'll be able to comprehend more. It's quite a natural process because it's the Atma that wakes up, not the body, not the brain. This is a machine. Devices we use temporarily for a while. You've had billions of them, so get used to remembering a lot. Now, I will bring this, well, let's just keep it running. I'm going to bring it to a close so it's not too long. We can have a question and answer.